Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Stews here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today I'm gonna be doing a review on Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is the second installment in the Indiana Jones franchise, and not really a sequel to Raiders, but rather a prequel. And came out in the year 1984, the year of Ghostbusters, The Terminator, and my personal favorite movie that year, The Karate Kid. And it's directed once again by Steven Spielberg and stars Harrison Ford, Ki Hui Kwan, Kate Capshaw, um, etc. And so basically, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom tells a story taking place 1 year before Raiders of the Lost Ark, where we start off with Indiana Jones meeting with the government, meeting up with the government in Shanghai, China, and also and then and there are like a bunch of mercenaries coming in, and then and that's where Indiana Jones meets up with his two sidekicks that are going to be like major throughout the movie. The nightclub singer named Willie Scott, the nightclub singer, and the young Chinese boy Short Round. And and once they all get together, they fly from Shanghai to India, where they pretty much crash land. Where they crash land in the middle of nowhere, and then they end up in an Indian village where they are tasked to find a stone that has to retrieve a stone that has been stolen from a village. And once they get into the Indian village, the Indian palace, they discover a cult of Indians, underground cult, where a major villain named Mola Ram turns the Indian government from the palace, including the Mahara, into slaves. So Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is kind of interesting because despite this movie being a part of the original trilogy, it's actually one of the more divisive Indiana Jones movies. Just like King of the Crystal Skull and the new Dial of Destiny. Yeah, the first and third films are the only Indiana Jones movies where it's there that are unanimously loved. Like everyone agreed that it is just that they're classics. But this one, despite it being a classic, it didn't really get the best reception. The main reason as to why Temple of Doom wasn't the best received is mainly because of how of how overly dark and brutal it is. Yeah, this movie is very dark and brutal. Like so much so that this movie actually influenced a new rating, the PG-13 rating, which actually the first movie that started the PG-13 started PG-13 rating. It actually started like pretty much 2 months after, like a few months after this movie's release. May, June, July, 3 months after this movie released. I don't exactly remember the name of the first PG-13 movie because let's be real. I searched it up I actually did some search it up like a few days ago. But the thing is that it's the first PG-13 movie is actually a movie that I've never heard of. So I won't remember. But all I know is that this movie is the reason as to why the PG-13 movie exists today. So that's pretty much one of the influences that this movie has. And one of the reasons that caused this movie's divisiveness is because of how this movie portrays Indians as monsters. This movie is technically racist to Indians, considered to be racist against Indians. And yeah, that never really bothered me. I can understand why. And I don't think that's like kind of the case here. I'll talk about it later in my thoughts, but I'm still doing my intro. So yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark has set the bar really high for this franchise. And we even got not a sequel but a prequel to Indy's Adventures. Although it kind of feels like its own thing. It's not really just a straight prequel to like how Indiana Jones became Indiana Jones, an archaeologist. It's just basically just a standalone story that just took place a year before. So it's kind of interesting actually. So So yeah, now with that said, let's get on to the my thoughts on the movie, my personal thoughts. So where do I land? I'll actually give you guys my opinion before I rewatched this last night on Disney Plus. Yeah, and yes, I rewatched this yesterday. So yeah, but I still got things to say about that. Yeah, before rewatching this movie, I saw this movie for the first time. A little late, like during, like I've, like before the pandemic, I've actually only seen two Indiana Jones movies, Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. Yeah, those are the only Indiana Jones movies I have seen. But during the quarantine, like basically where I started to like catch up with my movies I haven't seen yet and started expanding my taste, I saw this and King of the Crystal Skull for the first. Oh wait, actually, yeah, I actually seen King of the Crystal Skull before the pandemic. This one was the only Indiana Jones movie I haven't seen until 2020, and I thought it was good. It was good, but it was not great. It was like low 8 or high 7 out of 10, like 7.5. But yeah, I do like how dark it was, but I feel like it's just like flawed, like how it's just flawed, and I feel like it's kind of slow too, since most of the first half is just basically wasting time on a bunch of annoying characters just arguing and just doing jackass things, and then all the climax stuff happens like later on, like all the exciting stuff happens. Um, and yeah, and I feel like the side characters kind of ruin this for me, and yeah, I think we can all agree about Willie Scott and even Short Round. Short Round's kind of a divisive character, but everyone I know hates Willie Scott. There is nothing a person I heard him say, "Oh, Willie Scott's actually good." Maybe except Harry Thomas because he loves this movie. And yeah, I'll give him a shout out right now. This is his favorite Indiana Jones movie. I can totally get it. But now after this rewatch, I gotta say I actually love this movie even more than I originally did back then, and I think this movie certainly grew on me. And this is by far the most underrated Indiana Jones movie. I certainly do not understand the hate that this movie gets. I think this movie is actually awesome. Yeah, if you know me so well, you probably know that I love these kinds of movies. This feels like the movie that is made for me. This feels like a movie that is dark, that is gritty, that is ballsy. It takes risks, and it's not afraid. And it doesn't feel afraid to show us like some brutal imagery, some like really disturbing things. And that's pretty much the biggest praise I can give this movie. It's actually risky. It actually takes risks. Yeah, sure. Indiana Jones has always played itself like taking risks. Like I haven't seen an Indiana Jones movie that played itself safe. Like all the Indiana Jones movies are just technically simple treasure hunting movies. With where like the first Raiders of the Lost Ark had like a lot of jump scares. Like basically whenever Indiana Jones where Indiana Jones basically goes hunting for treasures. He literally gets caught up with booby traps, and those booby traps are literally straight up jump scares. Like they really scare me every time I see them, especially with the first 10 minutes of it. And I actually was a little late to that film because I remember when I was a little younger, I saw the first 10 minutes of Indiana Jones, and then I was kind of scared with the movie channel. I was like, oh, is this gonna be like this the whole time? I don't want to watch this, so I just put it off. But of course, well, eventually I did start to like go back to it. I saw the whole thing and saw the brilliance behind it. But yeah, but basically, you take all the jump scare aspects from the first film and probably just put it in one movie. That's pretty much this what this movie is. And I gotta say, I'm sure you probably saw in the title. Yeah, it is true. I think this might be the weirdest movie I have ever seen. And it's a good weird. Yeah, there is just so much weirdness in this movie. Like whether it's just disturbing weird or just weird, normal weird stuff. Yeah. When we get introduced to the Indians inside the palace, the first thing we see is just the Maharaja is a kid who I actually thought was a girl. Like, always thought was a girl. Every time I saw, it's like, oh, it's a girl. It's a young girl. But when I searched the cast for this, I found out that the Maharaja is actually a boy. Yeah, I didn't know that. And the food that they eat is just so weird. Like, I would never eat them. It's weird that they eat snake blood. They the flesh of animals, basically like wild, like predators. They eat predators, and then Willie Scott asks the waiter for soup, and then when she opened the soup, turns out the soup had eyeballs in it. Ugh, like and it only gets weirder from them. There's a scene where Indiana Jones literally gets drunk. Like, I don't remember exactly how, but all I know is that he's like kind of like imagining that Willie Scott wasn't there. Well, I wish that he for the whole time he imagined that Willie Scott was not there. Like that, I wish I would imagine Willie Scott not being around. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, we see Indiana Jones just be like getting very trippy, and he then doesn't even notice Willie Scott is there. Even if Willie Scott is clearly calling out Indiana Jones' name, saying, "Hey, Indy, I'm here." Um, and then the weirdness of this movie doesn't if you think that isn't weird enough, oh boy, there's now we get to pretty much the highlight of the movie, the cult. Like basically there's like this evil Indian dude that who brainwashes Indians into basically hailing him like a god, and then he hailing him like a god, like he makes them drink blood, and oh my god, like he and man, it gets so brutal from there. He literally takes out the flesh. He like with his bare hands, he he literally rips out a guy's heart with his bare hands, and then it's like there's other people who they just they just put them in the fire, fry them alive like that. Man, that is so weird. And good God, is this movie disturbing? It feels like a horror movie. Um, it feels like it feels like the, it feels like a horror movie. And yeah, and yeah, this this is such a horrifying movie. This is maybe the scariest non this might be the scariest non horror movie I've ever seen. Like it definitely should feel like a horror movie. Like there are so many big jump scares. Like there's just one jump scare that really made me scream. Like ah! Like basically when this Indian dude just jump scares at them and then like something like that. Like oh my goodness, it is just horrifying to watch. Yeah, it is just yeah, it is just so dark, and like this is probably the most explicit PG movie that I have ever seen in my life, and yeah, and yeah, and the darkness just goes on for an hour. Technically, all the grotesque, the brutal, the dark stuff in it just happens at the second half. Now, yes, the first half is a little bit slower, but honestly, I wasn't really bored that much. I really dug this movie, and I really dug the risks that this movie takes. The action scenes in this movie are incredible. In fact, this might have my favorite action scenes. Like the entire scene of just seeing the main characters escape the cult, like this whole time. Like basically, this mostly has just one long prologue, one long action scene with just Indy and his two sidekicks trying to escape the underground cult, trying to escape while they literally capture they're able to capture Indiana Jones and make him a slave, but then it turns out that he's just pranking them, and that was something that unexpected. I like that. But like, the action scenes truly shine in this. The action scenes truly shine. Like so much great action, and the entire time inside really put me on the edge of my seat this whole time. And out of all the action scenes, I think we can all agree that the true standout of this movie was the minecart. the minecart scene. Yeah, I mean, why hasn't that been why hasn't that turned into a Disneyland ride yet? That definitely should be a Disneyland ride. Like really should. And and yeah there's so many other things to love about this. I mean, the story is actually a little thicker. I wouldn't say the story is as good as some of the other indie films, specifically the ones the best ones. But I mean, for a story that feels a little thicker, it adds more layers to it. It actually does kind of work overall. Even if sometimes I guess you can see that this movie being more simple is better than is can be better than taking risks. But I mean, the story is very interesting as well, as as a simple story of Indiana Jones just trying to get the rock back to from the enemies is can, it does sound like a very thin concept, but on paper. But then you add in the cult and all that stuff to all that stuff. So that the movie can have more layers to the story. Actually, it works so well, um, and the characters are still amazing. Indiana Jones is still Indiana Jones. He's obviously the best character in the movie. The best character in the movie. And Best character in the movie. And then we also even got Ki Hoi Kwan. I guess this is his debut role where he was just still of such an adorable young kid. Such an adorable like 12-year-old kid. I can't believe I used to hate the short route. Yes, I actually hated the short route before, but I just realized now he's actually just a kid. And I know like there's actually a lot of people who hate on short round, but then they started to like him just when everything ever all what comes out and Ki Hui Kwan is in this, and then they just like I first saw people say that they used to hate short round, but everything ever all at once made them look back at his first role. I guess, oh, I like this character now. He's probably like in my top five favorite Indiana Jones characters. No, no, just unlike other people, I didn't really change my mind on him just because he's Ki Hui Kwan who wasn't everything ever all at once. I just really like him. I can understand why he's annoying because he's just a kid. But he actually has heart. He actually has a lot of charm to it. He actually and with a movie that makes us and with a movie that's super dark, he actually makes us feel charming. Like his character just shows that there's still charm and light inside a dark movie. And he would be in my top five favorite Indiana Jones characters for sure. And then we got the villain of the movie, Mola Ram, who at first I actually originally didn't like him. I was like he's just a boring villain, like a boring villain. But looking back at it, I actually really like him. Yeah, I really like Mola Ram. I think he is a pretty solid villain. Now he's not the best villain, but he didn't need to be a great villain. As a villain, he actually does seem like a real threat. Real threat, with trying to turn trying to like start a cult, trying to turn the rich Indians into his slaves and getting them to worship him as a god. Yeah, that is some great stuff there. Great stuff there. So yeah, I think I was a little too hard on him. Yeah, sure. He's not the best Indiana Jones villain. That goes to Elsa Schneider from the Last Crusade. But yeah, he actually does work well as a villain. And now, yes, do I have any flaws with this movie? Yes, technically I do have one flaw with the movie. And I think you already know what it is, um, yes, because I mean I don't know. It's hard like because most people I know hate this character, and I'm talking about Willie Scott. I mean, wow, wow. I mean, really, like, um, where do I start with this? Like, first of all, like, yeah, she is one of the worst Indiana Jones character. It's either her or Mutt from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Either one of those are the worst Indiana Jones characters to me. But My God, the way Scott is so annoying, and out of all the Indiana Jones female sidekicks, she is definitely the worst of them all. She certainly doesn't hold a candle to she does not hold a candle to Marion, or especially Elsa Schneider, who is my favorite of these of them. And despite what people say about Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, Helena Shaw in Dial of Destiny, she can't be worse than Willie Scott. There is no way she's worse. But yeah, Willie Scott is just whiny all the time. She just complains about everything, even if like a relief happens. She's like, oh, I hate this, I'm so ungrateful. She's like basically ungrateful for everything. Like, even like within in the first act, when the main characters escape from a plane, escape from a plane, and then they turn this thing into a boat. Like, they're able to get with an inflation boat, and then we're able to escape safely. Willie Scott still whines about it. Oh, why did we survive? I hate you, Indiana Jones. Like, seriously. I just, like, what is wrong with her? And she literally does not shut up. Like, she's just whining and whining and whining and whining and whining all the time. And she really does annoy me. But that's pretty much my only flaw in the movie. So overall, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is actually is actually an amazing movie. If you remove Willie Scott or from the movie, or at least make her less annoying, this actually I actually would have preferred this movie over Raiders of the Lost Ark. Honestly, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is one of the most ballsy movies I've ever seen, because of how dark, dark, horrifying and brutal it is. But this move, but as an Indiana Jones movie, it still works, since you got the Indiana Jones, still being Indiana Jones, a really charming Willie Scott, who I wish would return, but sadly I don't think he will. And no, I mean, no, Short Round. I mean, not Willie Scott. Why did I say Willie Scott? Yeah, Short Round. I wish he'd return. And there's some really intense action throughout. Yeah, this features probably the best action in the franchise. So with that said, I'm gonna give Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom a 9 out of 10. So also for my review of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, what is your opinion on this movie? Is this your favorite Indiana Jones movie? Do you not care about this movie? Or do you agree with me that this not as good as Raiders and Last Crusade, but it's certainly better than King of the Crystal Skull? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, my favorite Indiana Jones movie. So yeah, bye guys.